Relaxing.
Like
as if I was at home.
9:12 in the morning. The Sedano and Cap Morning Show on this Friday. By the way, celebrate properly.
It's a High Note Friday with Mike Trudell.
And on Sunday, the LA Kings begin their preseason adventure on the quest for a Stanley Cup. I said it. I did it then. I went. I could hear it there. Now I can hear it.
John, it's you.
Yeah. And now we are proud this season to have an ESPN LA Kings insider. The one and only Sam Betesh joins us now on the Sedano and Cab Morning Show. Good morning, Samuel.
Oh, wow, what a day. And by the way, this is not just any day, the Chris Morales birthday celebration. Now, is that why the cupcake happened, Trudell? Was this a birthday cupcake? I have to know if this was just to make Kaplan uncomfortable for not being in studio or if this was to celebrate Chris's birthday.
Well, I think that the origin is, of course, the birthday. But the first thought I had, of course, literally, when I saw the cupcakes and I saw Chris's, the way he looked at me with his eyes, I was like, oh, you want me to eat this out of your mouth, don't you? So, that was just me anticipating Chris. Now, you've known him for a lot longer, so you probably wouldn't have even needed that. You just would have kind of felt like something like that was happening.
It's very true. Now, has anyone there done this move? Now, early on when I'm dating a girl for a little while, I've done she gives me her gum to throw away, and I then chew it to show how connected I am to her. I've done that many times in my life.
That's a good move.
Right? There you go. Linda, it's really the only vote in the room I needed. So I think we're good there.
It is a good move.
I like it, Linda.
But Sammy, I'll tell you this right now, that Trudell, after eating the cupcake out of Chris's mouth, then offered that if Chris sucked on a Werther's Original.
No. I did not offer. You offered, and I did not answer.
No, you said that you would take the Werther's Original out of Chris's mouth and you would suck it.
No, I'm not mutually sucking on. No, I'm not doing that.
Well, you kind of
did. Mutually would be like a snowball situation, which I don't think we're talking about. We're talking about taking it from his mouth into yours.
The cupcake. The part of the cupcake that I ate did not go into Chris's mouth, whereas a butter toffee obviously would go into the mouth, and I think that's where I would probably draw the line.
Okay, all right,
I
fair
feel
enough.
I feel like this is like a challenge flag situation. I think we'd have to see that under further video review, but I'm into it. And by the way, speaking of the Werther's Original, I'm wondering. Okay, here we go. Let me see it here.
Yeah, here's the replay. Good job, guys.
All right.
By the way, look how Trudell though. You got to give him credit.
Trudell also though. Wait, Cappy. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it looks like Trudell's almost then puckering his lips for more.
Listen. Look what Chris did here. Chris took the bottom of the cupcake. And then he exactly right. And then he gave Trudell, he gave him the frosting, and then he nudged him with the frosting, and then the frosting, that white creamy frosting, was all over Trudell's face. And then Morales, in a brilliant move, by the way, that was very underrated at the time. In real time, we didn't notice. Morales leaned back his head, and then he sucked down remainder of said cupcake. A brilliant move, a very athletic move, a very underrated move. By our birthday boy.
That takes a strong gullet from the birthday boy. And I like the bunny rabbit, the little bunny rabbit nuzzle there with the nose. I thought that was
nudge.
That was nice.
It's called a nudge,
Sam. That was very gentlemanly. Yeah. That was very strong.
So the Kings begin on Sunday.
Forget about the Kings for 1 minute, because Sam, I'm not done with you. Hey, your background is we're watching you on YouTube. I love what you got cooking over here with that Rams helmet right in the middle. But then the picking winners all season long T-shirt with me picking my beak. I'm very flattered that you have that as part of your decor in your home studio.
I figured what would be more appropriate today. Not only, first of all, we also have a huge football game, Cappy. Now, I know you're a Chargers guy, not truly a Rams guy, but this Rams-Eagles game, which I'm calling part 3, really, right, of like this current unit. Actually, technically part 4. The Eagles actually tush-pushed the Rams 2 seasons ago out of SoFi. Then, of course, they tush-pushed them there, and I don't know if that was anything related to the glory hole or not, but that was the tush-push there in that game 2 seasons ago. Then there was the Saquon record-setting game in the regular season at SoFi last season, and, of course, the divisional game, which, Cappy, you misspoke and said that the Rams didn't hold on to that game, but let's remember, they were coming back.
Oh, no, the Rams – right. The Rams had a chance. They definitely had a chance in that game. Now, by the way, I want you to know something. You've already insulted me personally in your most recent rant. When you said you're a Charger guy, you're not really a Ram guy. Let me tell you something right now. The day that the Rams got to L.A., and then thereafter when the Chargers decided they're going to L.A., I said back then on the San Diego airwaves, the way you hurt the Chargers is you become a Rams fan. And I put together a deal right away to have the Rams broadcasts on our old station, which was 1090 back in the day. I became a Rams fan then. I gave up on the Chargers in that moment, and now I'm an even bigger Rams fan because of my college roommate being on the coaching staff. So I want you to know you've hurt my feelings already this morning, Sam.
All right. By the way, it's not often that we say this and we do this in life, but I'm simply going to say, Cappy, I understand and I apologize.
Hey, much love to you, my brother.
Table, all right?
Much love to you, and yes. Thank you.
And because of that, Trudell and Greg and Lindsay and Chris, we have even a bigger beef now. So it's Rams-Eagles. This really means something to us. This is a big one, Cappy. This one means a lot considering what happened last season. And for the Eagles, this is now sort of the reunion tour. They got the Chiefs from the Super Bowl, the Rams from the divisional round. Big game here. I can't imagine the Rams are going to allow 2 60-yard touchdown runs from Saquon for a third game in a row.
Right. That's exactly right.
Cannot happen.
Right. You can if you can keep Saquon Barkley in check. I'm not talking about saying, hey, you can't give up 225 yards rushing. You cannot give up the massive explosive plays that we saw last season, both in the regular season game at SoFi and the postseason game in Philadelphia. You cannot give up the explosive 65, 70-yard touchdown run. You can't give up 200-plus yards rushing. The key to this game is very, very simple. It doesn't take a football analyst to figure it out, okay? It comes down to this. If the Rams defense can force Jalen Hurts to beat them with his arm, and he's capable of doing it, then so be it. You guys win the game. But if the Rams defense gives up the big numbers and the explosive plays to Saquon Barkley, it's the same formula all over again, and that doesn't bode well for the Rams, at least in terms of getting through Philadelphia to get to the Super Bowl. I'm calling for a Rams win. I think the Rams definitely win this game on the road. It's just beating the same team this many times in a row. I just don't see it. I got the Rams.
Okay, well, look, obviously the Eagles just did that to the Chiefs, and it was a different game, much different game than the Super Bowl, so this will be a different game. But another Jalen I want to speak about, and this goes back to the cupcake. I can't imagine that Jalen Carter is going to spit at Matt Stafford to start this game. Jalen Carter was the difference in that divisional game. The 2 biggest plays of the Rams season on offense, Jalen Carter blew them up on 3rd down and 4th down to end that game. Now, Trudell, I don't want to leave you out of this. Another Philly-Minnesota tie here. Oh. How do you feel about Wentz? My guy Wentz going for your Vikings. What do you think of that?
Well, when you mentioned Philly, Minnesota, I thought back to that horrible playoff game following the Minneapolis Miracle. And a bunch of my buddies went and said they have never been so just disrespected and disgraced by a fan base. We're talking anything you could possibly think of. They said the absolute worst people in the world were at that stadium wearing Eagles jerseys. I'm not lying. Like, my high school friends could not believe how awful they were treated by the Philadelphia people. So it brings back terrible memories. Now,
well, that's just the way it goes.
I understand it.
Now, for Carson Wentz,
Keenum, Alshon Jeffrey, but Wentz, here we go.
I mean, it's been a tough look. We all talked ourselves into McCarthy, and then you have the rough 3 quarters against Chicago, but you have this miracle 4th quarter. It's like, oh wait. Okay, we got our guy. We're not paying him yet. They're selling him the rest of the roster. You got Harrison Smith. He's been out. He's coming back. That's going to be great. Addison hasn't played yet. Van Ginkel missed the 2nd game. So, lots of reasons for optimism. And then, McCarthy just struggled again for basically the entire Week 2 game, and you lose the home game against Atlanta.
And it's just too bad that the kid is already hurt again because, like you said, Mike, we saw him in that 4th quarter. So
in the high ankle sprain, Cappy, which basically ended my kind of playing for fun as an adult soccer career after I retired from actually playing. And the high ankle sprain is awful. Okay, mine was 6 months. Now, granted, I'm not getting around-the-clock, day-to-day treatment. Maybe he'll be back in a month, but it's not going to be sooner than that. So I think, as a Vikings fan, I think we've all talked ourselves into, you know what, Wentz right now, I get it. He struggled his last couple of stops, but maybe he's even a little bit better than McCarthy is at age 22 in Game 2.
Yeah,
so that's
and by the way,
can we get to hockey, though, Cappy?
Yeah, I want to get to
Sam.
Let's do this, Sam, because we could talk football all day long. Sam, I didn't realize that the Kings preseason, because of what we're talking about, you get so consumed with, college football, NFL football, and the playoff race in baseball that, Trudell brought up the fact that the Lakers are going to have a preseason game in 2 weeks. I'm like, when do they even start camp? I literally, until I knew that you were coming on today and I started to look into the Kings because Sam's going to be our Kings insider all season long, I didn't realize the Kings were going to start their preseason this weekend on Sunday against the Ducks. So, Sam, first and foremost, the story, though, of the Kings going into this season is that Kopitar is already has announced his retirement. Talk us through that to get started.
Okay, so first of all, anytime you get a breaking news alert on your phone, the idea is, wow, this is stunning news, right? That's our our inclination. First of all, that's what every company that sends one out wants you to do. They want you to say, wow, and dive into the story. So when you first get this, you think, oh my God, this is an Amari Cooper Raiders situation. He's not going to play this season. That's actually what I first thought, and that would have been a leveling headline for the Kings to start this season, that Kopitar is not going to be there. But then you start to understand, all right, no, this is a farewell season. This is going to be his final season. This is 20 seasons in a Kings sweater, the only team he's ever known, and now this will be his last. Let's walk you through this a little bit. Now, they didn't know this. If you listen to Kopitar in his announcement yesterday, he didn't know that Kershaw was doing this on the same exact day. Mm-hmm. So that's unreal that these two legends of L.A. are announcing this on the same day. I do want to make one key difference here, though. Kopitar is still, his career, and I know it's been 20 seasons, is still ascending as a hockey player. Kershaw, we can at least admit, is plateauing as a baseball player. I don't think anyone's stunned for Kershaw to announce this. With Kopitar, within even the organization, there was more meat on the bone. This could have been more seasons out of Kopitar. So it is a bit of a wow moment for them to understand that this is also a passing of the torch from Kopitar to Kempe, that it'll be his team moving forward. But Kopitar is still a top 2, 3, or even 1 scorer on this team. Every single season that he's had with the Kings, he's been 1, 2, or 3 in scoring, and a majority of those, he was the leading scorer for this team.
All right, Sam, so looking at the Stanley Cup odds, the Kings come in at 10, right? So plus 2,000. How close, what, is there a move to be made? Is there a specific, position player that you think could be targeted to add to it? Because, look, it's pretty good, okay? They were a really good team last year, but, how close could they be, and what do you think could get them over the top?
Okay, so let's set the level for everybody on the difference between hockey and other sports. First of all, the Kings won 2 Stanley Cups, which, by the way, amazing. Credit to them for those that think that hockey in Southern California is not a big deal. They've been the best team in hockey twice. However, both of those seasons, they won their first Stanley Cup as an 8 seed, Trudell, which, as a basketball guy, you know how ridiculous that is. They won it, and by the way, they steamed to the Stanley Cup final.
Had the hot goalie.
They went, they went 5 games, 4 games, 5 games, 5-4-5 on the way to the Stanley Cup final where they beat the Devils in that one. They were an 8 seed. And then they won their second Stanley Cup as a 6 seed. So it's not as if they need to run and be the President's Cup winner and the number 1 team. They were, however, the best team at home for a large stretch of last season. This is a dominant team. And for the first time over the last 4 seasons, they hosted the Oilers in the first round. For Kings fans, they know that the worst word I could possibly say here is Edmonton Oilers.
And that, by the way, it was going well, too, Sam. It was going well for a little bit.
Up 2-0, and by the way, leading in the third period of Game 3 to take a 3-0 lead in that series. Yep. But lo and behold, the same outcome, they lose to the Oilers again. Trudell, to answer your question, is there one player I can point to? No, but let's be clear. They already made that move, Trudell. Corey Perry. Think about this. Corey Perry, over the last 6 seasons, Corey Perry has been in the Stanley Cup final 5 of those 6 seasons. And by the way, with 3 different teams. I mean, this is unbelievable. Corey Perry has jumped. Each team that Corey Perry goes to ends up in the Stanley Cup final. And Southern California hockey fans know Corey Perry. He's a 50-goal scorer, Stanley Cup champion with the Ducks. And now here he is with the Kings. In fact, throwing out the first pitch at Kings night at Dodger Stadium. The bad news is Corey Perry is now injured to start the season. The good news, Trudell, is he essentially now becomes an addition later in the season. He's now a guy you're adding to the mix after you've established something this season. So in a way, he's almost like a trade deadline addition guy, and they don't need him for Game 1. They want him for Game 1 of the playoffs. Corey Perry is a playoff performer. He's been on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid, 2 of the best players in the game. Corey Perry is a guy to get them over that hump of the Oilers into the second round, back to the Stanley Cup final.
I'm so glad. You let me tell you something, Sam. You answered every question that I had related to Edmonton. Seriously, you did. Because you know how, in certain sports, they'll say, well, they went out and got this guy who's a great pass rusher because they got to be able to stop this quarterback. They got to put this pressure on this quarterback. It's as if the Kings have to make additions to the roster because they've got to, at some point, get over the demons that are the Edmonton Oilers.
And Corey Perry could be that guy, right? He's from the inside. This is a guy that played on the dark side of the moon in Edmonton, back-to-back seasons in the Stanley Cup final with Draisaitl, with McDavid, with that entire team. And so are there little tips that he can add to it? Perhaps. And like I said, he's been there before. This is a guy who understands it. But look, getting over that hump, the Bills lost 4 times in a row in the Super Bowl. The Kings have now lost 4 times in a row to the Oilers in the first round. Let's hope there's a different fate this time around. And by the way, for Morales, and really for everybody there, I got my Kings hats for the season. I'm trying to decide here where we're going here. I mean, we got the first
I like
game.
That one.
The first game on. I'm liking this one a lot here.
Yep.
This one, I like this one. This is the new logo, and I know Morales wants a flat brim. I'm trying to get. I got to get Morales a flat brim for the birthday.
But Sammy,
I need a youth cap. By the way, my head is so small. I need a youth cap.
Same with me. I got a little pea head. Hey Sam, one thing you got to commit to me. Now that you're going to be our Kings insider, you'll be around the franchise a lot. You got to try and smooth things out with Marty McSorley. He wants to beat up Morales desperately. He wants to kill Morales.
Well, it's because he wore a polo shirt from 1982 that night that he was beating the drum. Scumbag.
Okay, by the way, we have to set up an event with McSorley and Morales. You know that Robitaille would be in on that. We have to set up something. Maybe it's a cupcake eating contest. I don't know what it is, but we have to set something up where Morales versus McSorley, right?
Well, yes.
We got CNN versus McSorley.
Sam, if you want something just ahead of that would be the main event. Okay, so as a native Minnesotan, obviously I can play hockey, I can skate. If you want to put Cappy on the ice, I will skate from one end of the rink to the other and just plaster him into the boards.
Now wait a second, Mike.
If you want.
Now wait a second,
Mike.
Mike.
We know you like
understand.
plaster on your face,
Mike. One thing. Let me tell you something, Mike. I have offered to, and am requesting to. I want to be one of those Kings girls that comes out when there's a timeout and they scrape.
The ice.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I want to be a scraper.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to take the shovel and scrape the ice.
Yeah.
Because it turns out, Mike, I'm a damn good ice skater.
Is that right?
Yes. Unbeknownst to me, turns out I'm a natural.
By the way, Cappy, good news, by the way. In the world of equality that we live in, more of the scrapers are now male, by the way.
Yeah, so I want to be in.
Game, trust me. Yeah, you can be in on that. And I just want to say one thing. Kopitar is a Hall of Famer, absolutely. There's no debate. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He could lead the Kings in nearly every scoring category for a franchise that's had Wayne Gretzky play for it. That's pretty amazing.
I'm so stoked that you are going to be.
Legend.
I'm so happy that you were going to be our Kings insider because I want to get more into Kings hockey. I went to about 5 or 6 games last year. I want to get more into it. I want to have more of the Kings content on the show.
How many meatballs did you eat at the Kings game?
Well, you remember last year I was putting them down pretty good.
Yeah.
You know. Plus, I take those meatballs, I put them on a hot dog bun. You know, and those are damn good.
All right, thank you, Sam Betesh, our new ESPN LA
Love you,
Kings
Smoothie.
insider.